Why workplaces are so toxic. Now, everybody's workplace is different, but for the most part, as a whole from 9 to 5, right? The regular jobs, desk jobs, Walmart jobs, whatever jobs you work, especially if you're getting paid anywhere between $25 an hour all the way down to minimum wage, is usually a toxic workplace. And the reason why these places are toxic is because everyone is on the verge of getting fired in their mind. I'm not saying in reality. A lot of times, most people aren't about to get fired. They just think about getting fired. So like the last job that I worked, I used to work at a mortgage servicer, right? And I was on the phone for debt collections. So when you're on the phone, whether it's outbound or inbound, they have what's called Q&A, which is quality assurance, quality control, whatever. Every business kind of calls it something different, but quality call control. How is your call control, right? They have a verbatim system that you must follow no matter how comfortable you are with the job. So when you're starting, even when you're starting, you're not doing it as perfectly as you should be. And even when you're 6 months in, you're definitely not doing it as perfectly as you should be. So I had these, so every now and then they would give me like a review. Say, hey, this call got flagged. Let's go ahead and have a sit down over this. Well, the reason why we're talking to you is because of yada, 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 yada. And in reality, they don't have to do any of that, except for when it comes down to payments. So there is something you have to read verbatim that if that's not read, that's against the law. But everything else is just kind of semantics and control. But besides things that are law control and controlled by law and things of that nature, they do this for a reason. They don't want you to be comfortable. I was comfortable. I was like, yes, I was good. I was good on the phone. I was helping out people. Everybody knows what's up. I'm like making it happen. And then my calls started flagging, not because of the legal parts, I got those down. It's because of semantics of how the call should have went. And that they have that across the board at any job. You may not be on the phone, but you may be at the actual place, at your job, where they're saying you have to do this, you have to scan that, you have to do this, you have to do that, whatever. Whatever they say you have to do is semantics and to make your job that much harder. So they have a chance to bring you in the office, talk about your performance, and essentially threaten your job every time that happens. Well, this one's just a warning. I'm not going to do anything about it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, okay? Then I'm going to write you up today, but hey, it's still not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Okay, this is a final. They went from this not a big deal to this is a final, okay? This keeps happening. Unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go. And they still may not even let you go even past the final, like for real. They do this to manipulate you into thinking that you're going to get fired. You're gone, you're out of here. And you're like, I'm a good employee. Why aren't you talking to this guy over here who's late 5 minutes from his break, who is definitely not doing everything correctly around here, who doesn't even sound like he's enthusiastic on the phone? He may not sound enthusiastic, but he goes over all the bullet points. He makes sure his call is perfect, whatever. But he doesn't take the job seriously. He doesn't get involved with anything. He goes out and takes long breaks and does whatever he wants to do. And they don't say nothing to him. He never gets written up. He never gets talked to. And it's because you're too good of an employee. You will be here forever. That person you're talking about, he'll walk out the door. He won't show up one day. He'll just be like, well, whatever. Who cares? I got a job down the street. Who cares? That's his mentality. So they're not worried about him because he's already on the way out anyways. You, though, if you're that good of an employee, you might want to stay on for some years. And you got to think, people who are your manager or supervisor, they start at your level for the most part, okay? Some people get hired in, but for the most part, they start at your level and graduated out. So they have to do these things because you might be the one that graduates out and they might get fired. They might graduate up, but the person above them definitely doesn't want the person below them to get to their level and so down the chain of accomplishments. I've literally, okay, I've been at Costco, bro. I'm a Costco member, okay, guys. So I've been at Costco for a really long time, like as in like knowing how Costco culture is. Being in Costco, as in like shopping at Costco, is entirely different from the actual culture of working there. I met a lady the other day that has worked here for 30 years, and she's still cashiering in the front. 30 years? How do you not own this place? She's like, well, you know what I'm saying? She didn't really care. She's like, nowhere in this entire place out here are they going to pay me $35, almost $40 an hour to do cashier work. Why do you aspire to be a cashier? Like, after this many years, that is minimal raises. I'm talking about this minuscule raise every however long they take to give you a raise. I'm like, bro, the nickel and diming of raises is just an absolute trap. It should, every time you get a raise, should go up by $1 to $5, which to the company sounds crazy. But in reality, that's how it should be. Like, oh my God, like, could you imagine getting a 45-cent raise? Could you imagine getting a 45-cent raise? Think about it. I don't have any change in there, but think of it. Here's a quarter. Here's another quarter. That's 50 cents. Oh, sorry, you didn't get 50 cents. Let me take the quarter back and throw a dime and a dime as 45 cents. Here you go. Just a little bit more on your check. Whee! 45 cents more per hour is trash. $1.25 an hour is, to me, still low. But at least it's better than 45 cents an hour raise. It's crazy. It blows my mind how people think of these things and don't think of them at the same time. So after 30 years, you're making less than $40 an hour. For cashier work, I get it. I get what you're saying. I get it. It's such a simple job that you enjoy doing, and $36, $38 an hour for doing that job is great because you can't quit here and go to Fry's down the street and get paid that amount. You can't quit here and go to anywhere else that cashiers you and get paid that amount. I get that. But that is such a low scale of raises. If I said I would have been here for 30 years, I would expect me to be at more like $60 an hour or something. And to her, she'd be like, what? Better be that. There's no way. I mean, if you wanted to be a manager here, like, what? The manager makes $60 an hour? The manager, like the main guy, running the entire store, having to deal with the most stress, only makes $60 an hour? That's crazy. That's crazy work right there, man. That blows my mind. That's how it is. Okay? So yeah, that's why the workplaces are absolutely toxic, because of that factor right there. The workplaces are toxic because of that factor. Everybody at every job is abused to the point of submission or pushed out the door, and they're so like locked in. They're like, oh, well, I just need to get this job and I have to like, and it's just this mind-boggling thing. It's crazy that you think that that's how life should be. Like, my God, bro, that blows my mind, bro. That really blows my mind. Like, for one, the fact that someone would get happy over a quarter and 2 dimes. My last job that I was at, right? I was there at this job, right? And I was sitting there, and my mom needed help with estate sales, and I ended up quitting. I just sent an email. Right before I was supposed to be at work, I was like, hey guys, I quit, got stuff to do, okay? Boop, send. Not even 10 minutes later, boom, a lady that I had less than 2 sentences shared between us jumped on the phone and called me. Says, hey, just wanted to see what was up. You okay? Yeah, that was a really big surprise. Like, just let me know what we can do to get you to stay. Whatever we could do, if it's more money, more hours, whatever you want us to do, we will do it for you. And her offer, I was making $18.75. Her offer was $20 an hour. And I'm not saying that wasn't enough. That's a good amount. I was working there for less than a year, so I'm already going to get a raise for $1.25. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it didn't sound appealing. It just sounded like this is where you should have started me in the first place. You're telling me right now, because I'm leaving out the door, that you could have gave me $20 an hour? I feel like this job that you're doing, like having to mentally drain yourself for every last customer, talking to every single last customer back to 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 back, and leaving no room for error, and make sure you're doing all your calls perfectly. Like that's $25 an hour guaranteed. $25, $30 an hour, which I get it. They're not hiring people for that type of stuff for the most part. Sometimes they do, but for the most part they're not. So I get it, but I'm like, bro, it reminds me of when I wanted to cancel my internet service and I was paying $145 a month. And just because there was a competitor out there that was going to give you an $80 out the door price, they're like, oh, well, we can match that. We could give you right now for the next 5 years or something crazy. We can give you this price of $79 a month just to beat out the competition by $1. And it just upset me so much because I'm like, I've been paying $140 something a month for the past year and a half. And you're telling me I could have just called in and had a 5-year deal for $80 for the same exact unlimited. Oh my God, that I was like, bro, I just want to just hang up the phone, bro. But I was still in the middle of canceling, so I'm not going to hang up the phone. Hey, yeah, no, cancel my service. And by the way, you suck. Craziness. They don't care about you. That's why all the places that you could ever work become toxic. At first, it's exciting. I got a new job. Yay. New year, new me type feel. You go in there, boom. Oh, meeting all the people. I'm the superstar of the show. And then you start feeling like the party's over for me. Yep. Just here now. And you slowly start to degrade away and just hate your job. There is no perfect job. There never has been and there never will be, okay? You can love it or hate it, but you need a job to live, right? You need a job to be able to pay your bills, right? Technically you don't, because guess what? There's people living on the street with no job. But at the same time, obviously no one wants to do that. But I'm saying you gotta learn how to invest into something that's going to turn into something, so that way you don't have to worry about if they're gonna fire, not fired, toxic job site, non-toxic job site. I walk into here sometimes and I'm like, I listen to, like, overhear conversations between employees, and I just like, it makes me like anxious. It makes me feel like that job feeling all over again. Or when a manager wants to explain to their employee how they would do something, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, the way I would do it, the way you would do it would just shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut it up. Shut it up, Bill. No one cares, Bill. I don't want to hear you talk. You know, like that's how it feels when I'm just walking by. So I could imagine this just being told to me. Oh, God. Oh, disgusting. The worst feeling in the world, man. Just, gosh, it's not my cup of tea. If you enjoy your job, great. I don't enjoy any of that. I appreciate you guys. Leave a comment down below. Tell me about your last job experience. Tell me about what you used to do when you were doing it and how you were doing it when you got it done, okay? I appreciate you. Peace!